Hi guys, so today is a very special video for me. This is mine and Inky's first ever show. If you follow us on Instagram, you already know the results, but I thought I'd show the whole warm-up process and the raw footage of our rounds, as I know a lot of you guys were interested and you guys wanted to see how we did, because obviously it's our first show, it's not going to be perfect, but Inky was absolutely amazing. I definitely didn't ride my best, as you'll see in our rounds, but Inky was such a superstar and really looked after me. So as you can see, my dad actually, who is videoing by the way, isn't in the warm-up. Pre-COVID, he would normally stand in the centre and do the jumps for me and video from the centre, but obviously due to the COVID guidelines, he isn't allowed. So I'm sorry about the not so great angle when we get jumping, but this is the best we could do. When I initially started my warm-up, I just did a lap in walk on each rein just to let Inky look at the arena before popping him into trot for a few laps and then eventually into canter. I like to have a nice long warm-up on the flat to make sure they're listening, and Inky was warming up very nicely, even with people coming in and out of the cafe and walking along by the warm-up arena. So I started with cantering on both reins, and once we'd had a little canter, I wanted to do some changes with him to prepare for when we actually were on the course, and he actually did a very nice change here. A lot of you know he actually can sometimes buck on his changes and he gets very excited about them, but he did a very nice relaxed one here and I was very impressed with him. After warming up on the flat, we then move on to jumping. I always start with a cross pole with any horse. It's just a thing I do. Even if it was a tiny upright, I would rather it be a cross pole. And here is Inky getting a bit excited, and we went a bit disunited here, so we just went back into draw and then picked up the correct lead again. He gets very excited when he thinks he can do a flying change. So after doing a couple of cross poles, I then move up to an upright. As you can see, there's flags on the wings, red for right and white for left. So unfortunately, I could actually only jump on one rein, which isn't ideal for a warm-up, but luckily we managed. So here's Inky and I popping over a little oxer. He did another change there and got very excited about it, as you can see. And then I decided to link the fences together. He landed a little awkward there, so I took him nice and wide and then made sure we made round the corner to get to the oxer, which he jumped very nicely. So our first class was the 85 centimetres, and of course, at the first fence, I completely mess up the stride. Inky takes one out, I lose both my reins, and I imitate a limp noodle here, as Inky just completely sorted everything out while I'm desperately trying to gather my reins. Luckily, I get my act together a bit more at the third fence, and he jumps it quite nicely, and he really listened to me down this line, as it was a related distance. So I came nice and wide out here, as fence 5 was actually quite tight off the corner. It was 3 strides off the corner and he jumped it very nicely. And then we popped over this fence here and he got a little bit excited when I asked for a flying change, and I lost him a little bit around this corner, as you can see, so I did have to turn him quite tightly to fence 7. This is actually where the jump off starts, and I did a bit of a turn here, which we struggled a little bit there, as you see. He shook his head because I wasn't really supporting him with my outside leg. But I wasn't really treating this jump off as a jump off. I did kind of just want to school round. So as you can see, I go nice and wide after this fence, as this wasn't about trying to place. This was just about me getting used to him, and I wasn't too fussed about what our placing would be. But we did actually end up coming second in this class because Inky's a very quick boy. But he was very good. I was so happy for it's our first ever class together, and he was absolutely super, jumping clear and placing second. Our next class was the 90 centimetres. I luckily did get a better stride to fence 1, as you can see here, which set us up a lot better for fence 2. And I was just riding him a lot better in general. I was more confident, and Inky was really listening to me, and I was so happy with this round. Again, he listened to me so well down this related distance and really waited for me. Again, I go very nice and wide to fence 5 because I really didn't want him to have it down if I accidentally turned too tight. And he was just jumping really well and really listening to me. We did get a bit of a long stride here, and again we had another change because we landed on the wrong lead and he got a bit excited. But this time in the jump off, I did actually really want to try some turns with him, which I've actually never done before. But as you can see, he was an absolute superstar. We did that turn a lot better because I supported him. And these turns here, he was just absolutely flying. He was amazing. As you can see, he's absolutely loving it. And this time at this fence, we actually go inside the fence, and we get a much tighter line, and Inky's speeding off there, and he took a flyer at that fence because I lost him a bit around the corner. but he jumped clear and we actually took the win in this class, and I was so happy. This was a bit of a short video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. This was my first ever show with Inky and I'm so happy with the results. We came second in the 85 centimetres and we won the 90 centimetres. I honestly couldn't have asked for any better results, and I'm really looking forward to the future with him.